Good evening. Hello, everybody. I don't know what's going on with the backdrop, but we'll live with it. Hi, it's me. We're back. Yes, we are, and we've got another great show, and I'm excited about it, too. We've got special guests in the studio. We've got a couple of special guests on video. We've got a special guest coming in a little while. So we got a lot going on. Right now, I'm going to introduce to you the hostess with the mostess, Miss Jack Ledoux. There she is. Hello, Jack.
Hello.
You know, actually, I just realized that's probably the voice I'm going to use for Yehuda.
Actually, it sounds like a good idea.
In Hysteria, I may pull it back a little bit because it sounds like a cross between Dracula and Tevye. So I don't want to take that chance. So how are you, my darling?
I'm fine. I'm really looking forward to tonight because I think it's going to be really interesting and fun.
I am too, and we've got two pretty cool people coming on in just a moment, both of whom have a little bit of experience in this area. So,
yes.
And as
Are
well
you going
as,
to do that voice all night? Really?
No, I will try not to.
Thank God.
Not to. I promise. I have to see if we are actually on our own channel, which I just don't know if we are or not. For whatever reason, we are not broadcasting to the Joe Zimmer Show channel, which is really strange.
What is going on?
It's
almost ghostly.
It is indeed, and it's rather annoying, actually.
There's that too.
That's all right. We'll live with that, and hopefully people will find us through the links in the thing.
Yeah. Because I'm just seeing,
Yeah, it could.
Looking at the comments, and I'm not sure we'll get comments. I'm not sure.
I don't know if it will or not. I just don't know what's going on there. But right now,
yes,
in a moment, in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to have Mike Matson on, who does a ghost tour, and he's had some spooky experiences in a mansion they use up there in, I'm not sure where, but we'll find out. And we'll talk about that. But right now, let's bring in our guest. Who have we got down there? Oh, yes, I remember now.
Oh,
Scott. There's Scott and David. All right.
Hello.
Awesome.
Hi.
Awesome. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? These two guys, I've known these two guys, one longer than the other. Scott, I've known since I did a most incredible, wonderful play with him called Wind Up 1957, which we did at the Savoy. Before COVID.
Right.
Long before COVID, actually. And we had a grand time with that. And David, I've known, my God, I couldn't even tell.
I think you pushed me around my stroller when we first met, right?
I think I know where you live, and there could be a problem.
I know, that's right.
I know you know where he lives.
Yes,
that's
and
right.
Jack, I've known forever as well. Since back in the Titanic days, where Jack and I used to do a ghost show, a ghost tour. Titanic. And I'm going to tell you now, anything we tell you about those stories we tell you from there are either real or not real. And I will not say whether or not they are, because I know this guy that was there made people believe there was a lot of things going on that really weren't.
That's true. But there are some things that definitely did happen.
Oh, yes.
Are real. And I still have the video to prove it.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why don't I have a copy of that for the show?
Because it's in very poor quality. It's very poor quality.
The show.
Well, that's poor taste. That's a whole other thing, Joe.
Yes, it's true.
But yeah, it's really, really poor quality. But Brittany sent it to me right after the incident, And
I
so
was
I
not
keep
aware
it.
of that, so we're going to have to talk about that this evening.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Like I said, it's
All right.
very poor quality.
And we've also got 2 guests on video. I don't care how long we go, if you guys don't mind. We sometimes go over if we're having a good time, and that could happen tonight. So, Scott Browning, David Tabin, let us start with you, Scott.
Okay.
What are you doing right now, anyways? What's going on?
Nothing much of anything. Volunteering, helping out at Renaissance Theater where I can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Nosferatu is amazing. If you get a chance to see it, go see it. It's
Can
wonderful.
I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I'm a super wuss.
Uh-huh.
And I'm really also kind of prudy.
Uh-huh.
Can I still go see it? Honestly, because Donald has said if it's not your cup of tea, that's okay.
And yeah. There's a little bit. I don't like blood. There's not much. It's obviously stage blood. There's no gore necessarily.
Okay.
I don't think it is. And like I said, I'm really squeamish when it comes to it. There's a little nudity, but if you look away for the right 10 seconds, you don't see anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's a wonderfully stylized piece. You move from room to room and different things. The sets are incredible.
It sounds so exciting.
You want me to go with you, Jack?
Wow.
Yes, I would love you to come with me.
All right, we'll talk about that, definitely.
Okay, we will.
I know, include me.
Yeah.
That sounds like a cool time.
It's
Awesome.
a fabulous
Then it's a date.
Yeah,
And the bar
Okay.
is
do
open, so
that.
you can have drinks and it's
Not
great.
too much nudity, unlike the last thing I saw you in, which the last thing I saw you
Oh yeah,
in.
I guess that had nudity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
one
didn't
had
go
nudity
see
in
that.
it.
That was too much
That-
nudity for me.
I will tell you now, Scott was not nude in it.
I was
and
not. No.
I had an incredible panic attack while watching that show when his scene came on, going, "Holy Christ, is he going to be naked?" Because I'm not sure I'll ever be able to look at him again.
Yeah, after a year of COVID and being trapped indoors, my ass was not getting naked.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. Nope.
Yeah.
Not gonna comment on any of that. I was, Anyways, good. So,
Moving on.
what now? I know you have been involved in some things, and what has happened to you? What has happened in your life that is paranormal? Let's start there.
In mine? Sorry,
Yeah.
pause a second.
Yes.
A bunch of little things. I don't see very much, but normally I feel or some experiences. The first thing that ever happened, well, I'll start with, I grew up in a Christian home, so certain things that might have happened were just written off as demons or whatever, because it contradicted the Bible, so therefore we couldn't even look at it. So it wasn't until I started school at Liberty that I had my first ghost experience, and that was in a dorm. And that one actually came full circle very recently, because when it happened, and I'll just tell the story of what happened.
Did we read about this recently on your
Yeah, you did.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I came back to my dorm from, I think it was New Testament, and I dropped my bag on the ground and I just plopped in my bed, face down. I used to sleep in my stomach before I got old and couldn't sleep on my back anymore. And I was just laying there, and I was there for just a few seconds. It wasn't long, and I do not fall asleep quickly at all. And I'm just laying there, and I suddenly knew somebody was in my room. And suddenly the left corner of my bed went all the way down, as if somebody was just standing on it. I thought it was my roommate. He used to play stupid jokes like that all the time. And I'm like, okay. And I turn around to go, ha, ha. And just as I'm doing that, the bed springs back up and just does the full bounce thing. And I realize,
whoa. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nobody was here. And then I just wrote it off. It wasn't until just a couple weeks ago that I was listening to another podcast of a similar story that I realized what had happened there. The word, I guess, is death echo, because what I think happened right there was somebody who had hung themselves in a dorm room, just revisited,
Oh my God.
stepped on the bed, and then that's the spring emotion that happened.
Oy.
I had no feelings with it. Normally I have feelings associated, but it was just one of those things that, like I said, it happened 25 years ago. It wasn't until 2 weeks ago that I went, oh, fuck, that's what happened.
Wow.
Oh, So yeah.
Wow. Do you know that? Wait a minute. So what you're saying is someone hung themselves in your dorm room before
The dorm itself, somewhere along
or somewhere
the way.
in that building.
I mean, it was a very, very, very Christian university. So if somebody's gay or anything else, there's no hope at times. So
well, Lord knows that would never happen in a Christian university. There'd never be
right,
a
never.
Of course not.
Yeah, and never be swept under the rug constantly. Yeah.
You know that whole idea just wow. That must have really hit you hard when you really realized it. I imagine.
Wow.
It did
a little bit.
Yeah, I think I turned into one big goosebump. It was just like,
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's what.
Wow.
And it was so like I've had jokes come full circle 20-something years later. That was the first time a haunting just went, no. That's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's that gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, that gave me the goosey bumps. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Now
That's crazy.
Let's jump over to David for David. What tell us your early something? Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's so many, but the one that really stands out is this house that we lived in on El Camino Real. There was all kinds of stuff going on, and we had this thing.
This was in California, right?
In California, Atascadero to be exact. We had this thing that was in our house that we could never get rid of, and it would disappear into the walls. And we called it the hairy hump. And it was, I know, it's going to be funny, but
I think I hated him, actually.
Yeah, and it was this thing that looked like a bunch of hair, and it would stink to high heaven when it would start to appear. And it would go up and down the halls, and we would be, little kids, we're sitting there, watching I Dream of Jeannie or something, and all of a sudden we could smell it, and we would see it, and Mom would go, oh, get over here, and we'd go hang over to the couch, and there it would be, and it would glide over towards the TV, and then it would disappear into the wall. And we never knew what it wanted, what it seen, but it always made itself present. And what was really funny is a few weeks later, the Jehovah's Witnesses came in. They're knocking on the door, right? And they said, hi, we'd like to teach you about the Lord, blah, 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 And Mom was like, she goes, would you like to come in? And they said, we would love to come in. She goes, oh, good. So she looked at me and she said, maybe they can help us. So we sat on the couch, and I'm sit there, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And sure enough, they start in with their preachings, and all of a sudden, here comes that stench. And they're all looking at us, and we're looking at them, and we're kind of like, oh, don't look at us. It's not us. And I said, Mom, it's right there. And that woman, the one woman, she looked over there. She clutched her purse. She gasped, and she said, holy Jesus, Mother of God, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I'm out of here. And she flew out. She left the other one behind. The other one just stood there, looked at us, and she was like, we need to bless this house. We need to do all kinds. She goes, well, can you come back? She goes, no. And she took off. And she goes, well, I guess we're not getting any help from them either. So we just kind of took it that it would always just be there. And it always would show up every so often. It was never consistent. And it didn't, it didn't hide from anybody, let's just say. And that was one that would always give us a creep. We hated going to our room at night because we didn't know if we were going to run into it or if it was going to show itself while we were sleeping. That was, yeah.
But it never hurt you.
That was,
so it wasn't malicious.
It never hurt. It was not malicious, but it was, there. But the one malicious one, we had this one, and it was a demon for sure. And we actually had somebody from the church come out and, we weren't Catholic at all. We were just, non-denominational, but we had this, one of the priests come out, and he said, oh yeah, he told us, that we probably had sin in our life. And, we're like, really? Thanks for that. And next thing you know, we hung out
Get the fuck out of here. You set that up, you little bastard.
No, he was talking about a story that has to do with that beforehand.
Okay, well.
Wait, David.
No,
did you? Was that real?
Yeah.
God damn.
I'll just put her down. Okay, so yeah, I told you. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen that actually happen.
Bravo.
Okay. Whew, okay. Well,
it's more on your camera,
Halloween.
Right? Yeah.
That's awesome. That's wild. So did the priest come in and do a thing or
the priest?
Exorcism.
Yeah, he came in and he didn't do an exorcism, but he did a prayer thing, and his wife was really into the smudging.
Yes.
Right.
And so she went around, and that's how I learned all about that stuff. You know, I was like, boy, smells like my brother, smokes, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And and so he goes around, and he's going each room, and he goes to the one corner of our kid's bedroom, and the closet doors that sat up, and we had these drawers underneath our closet, and he went over there and he started doing the circling or she started doing the circling thing, and he was doing the praying.
Oh no, he froze.
And
there he is.
He looked down and he said, what's in there? And we're like, I don't know. And then my mom was like, okay, kids, you go outside. So we went outside, and next thing you know, there was a lot of hooting and hollering, and the priest's wife, she comes running out. She's white as a ghost. And she said, you kids need to start praying and behaving yourself, because there's something bad in that room. And we're just like, okay. And he never came back. And
the priest never came back?
He never would come back. Yeah.
You okay, Scott?
Scott, please don't hurt yourself.
Propped up on a book.
Okay, so that wasn't something.
No, that was not.
Your turn, Jack.
Wait a minute.
So, yeah,
I've smudged.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, so it smudged, but it didn't work because we had more stuff going on. It like aggravated it and it activated it. Yeah.
Let's. I've got Mike Matson there. Mike, move or something, so I know that you're actually live. You're not actually. You're frozen. You're frozen, Mike. If you can hear me, go out and come back in if you could. But right now, I want to bring. I'm gonna against my. Here we go. I'm gonna bring in our one of our video guests, and he will. It's a video, so you'll hear this. And you'll see it, okay? So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, dear. Should I do Ron or Randy? Or should I wait for Randy? Or should I do Ron?
No, you already set up Randy, so you might as well.
Yeah, you said, right.
Besides, my friend Amy is here, and she's ready for some spooky stories. So
very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Senna.
God help us all.
Hey, it's our special Joe Show Ghost Stories Tales over here from the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey.
Randy has
we're in the arcade.
An
There's
arcade
some really
in Wildwood.
eerie stuff you can find here at the Retro Arcade and Fascination. Oh my goodness, we have all these fun stuff here. These old ghost cars, they're from the rides. They have many things that they can tell you, different stories. Look at the ghosties up there. The ghosties, the ghouls, the big spider, the evil clock. Uh-oh, even the magic band organ over here. Isn't that creepy? Just out of some kind of haunted house, an old merry-go-round. That's Mary Ann. Got to talk to us, Mary Ann. Can you play for us, please? Oh, ghost stories. There's a fun thing up here. Decapitated. There's a guy. He's mummified. Up here, we're running the game. He's running the fascination.
I've got to tell you, kids, that band alone is creepy as hell as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I hate snakes. I hate snakes. Look at these ghouls up here. Oh, ladies closet.
This is so Randy.
Oh, what are you gonna do? We'll continue our ghost stories outside. You know, Joe asked me to tell you some fun stories as far as spiritual awakenings and ghost stories. So, as we walk outside to the boardwalk, what's more spooky, spiritual, ghost story fitting for being on the empty boardwalk in the middle of October? Nobody down that way. And down this way, it's an empty beach. Look at that.
I don't know about anybody else, but I would be creeped out just by being on that boardwalk by myself at this hour of the night.
Dark water freaks me out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, I'm the same way. Dark water is horrible.
Story.
Yep.
This goes back to a very sad time. It was my mom when she was going back and forth to the hospital. And I was taking care of her at home because I had experience with what the hospitals did with my dad and the lack of care that they gave him. So every so often I would have to take my mom to the emergency room because of failing needs. And they would usually admit her to the hospital. And each time you would get a hospital doctor who is taking care of the patient. Well, this time we had a young doctor who was less than cooperative to being attentive to the patient. And he and I locked horns from the beginning because he told me we're not going to be aggressive on her treatment. I says, well, where does that put us? Because
This is all going somewhere, I promise.
So he didn't
Very
want to
Randy.
He wanted her to die, and he drugged her up, wanted to drug her with morphine. Then he ended up, when I objected to that, giving her a fentanyl patch. Which I didn't know any better, but the fentanyl patch was quite a strong drug. I ended up taking my mom home.
Does anybody hear the background things there?
Yes.
Had her home for another week or so.
I don't remember hearing those the first time I listened to this.
Further, and I took her back to the hospital.
That's not coming from any of you, is it?
The hospitals didn't want to do much as I'm fighting for them to take care of the patient. Very long story, not a happy one.
You're in the room with us now, Mike. You can comment if you like.
I'm sitting by my mom's bed and I watch my mom stop breathing.
No, I got a bunch of Transformers.
Well,
what is that?
Must be someone on the boardwalk.
Ma, she starts breathing again. And I run out to the nurse's desk to call the nurse. And they call a code. And the nurses just walk. Nobody comes, they walk. And I'm standing in the hall waiting because they chase you out of the room. Here comes the doctor. Same doctor. Hospitalist. Walking, not running. Goes in by my mom for a minute. Comes out and tells me my mother's flatline. There's nothing he can do. I told him, yes, try. He says, there's nothing he can do. I says, you're going to go through the motions. Try. So he went in for a few minutes, pretended to do something, stood there with his foot against the wall, doing nothing, then came out and told me, there's nothing they can do. We're sorry for my loss. I stood there and I looked at him. And he walked away. They allowed me to go in and sit by my mother, and I sat there until the end of visiting hours at 8 p.m., which time I went home without my mom. When I got my sleep in the middle of the night, and I was in the presence of spirits. I don't know to say that it was God because the spirits did not have a form. But they were definitely there, and I know I was amongst them. They explained to me that the doctor, who I was very angry at for doing what he did, was actually the angel of death. And that he was there to take my mom 2 weeks prior, but didn't because I wasn't ready. But this time he was there and he took my mom. They explained to me that my mother was always my protector, but the last few chapters I have to do alone. With that, I was no longer angry at the doctor because I knew the reality of the circumstance of what he was.
Lucky, and crispy.
With that, a new spirit appeared. This spirit had physical form that I could see. This young man in his late 20s, dark complexion, Middle Eastern skin, dark curly hair, light colored eyes, Mediterranean blue-green, big smile. And it was revealed that he had recently died. Whether that was 10 minutes ago, 2 hours, or 200 years. Chose the latter. With that, a long wooden box appeared, the size of a box that would hold long stem roses. It was made of wood that was quite worn.
Who is saying doggy?
Covered with dirt.
I think it's Lucky.
I think Lucky.
Carnival.
Someone calling their dog.
I could see
All right.
by looking down, there was a
Jesus.
flattened piece
It's a
of
creepy
metal in the
voice.
shape of an upside down cross. It was rusted and
Holy
as
crap.
if it was decayed into dust.
Whoa.
He reached his hand into the box, and as he reached in, the rusted flattened metal plumped and grew and glowed to a lava orangey red. It became a sword, and he lifted it out of his box in his hand as symbol of my being protected by my guardian angel, and he was my protector. His name was Michael Naval. He has a first and a last name that I've never heard of, Naval, in my life. Never seen or heard this person. But I know that he stands there as my guardian angel as I go through the last chapters of my life here on Earth. This was no dream. It's in vivid color, in extreme detail, and complete, absolute recalling of the events. It was an encounter with the spiritual world, an encounter with God. My guardian angel was there. God is real, spirits are real. With that, I found myself back in my bed, fully awake, with full awareness of the situation of what happened. So spirits are very real. They are not necessarily evil like we like to think of on Halloween with witches and warlocks. Each of us has a spirit. God is real. No one can tell me otherwise because I have met them. Each of us has a task on Earth, and until we complete our mission, we will be here and we will have help throughout the world. Great gifts I've been given in order to do this as a soldier for God. Hopefully, you'll take heed because it's very real. Boardwalk and an empty arcade, which is just about now ready to close.
Oh,
Okay,
dear.
before you
Okay,
say anything, hang on. Before you say anything,
Yeah.
my friend Billy Joe is watching this, and
Yes.
she's up in New York. She's up in that area, and she said it's one of the machines on the boardwalk.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the
Like-
thing
Oh,
is,
okay.
I don't know about anybody else, but all I was hearing was from the Omen, or was it? Yeah, the Omen, where she's in the bed going, "Damn me, damn me, damn me." That's what I was hearing. Ladies and
No.
gentlemen, in the room with us now is Mr. Michael Matson, and
Yeah, Michael.
good to see you. Mike is a local entertainer, magician, as well as someone who is doing something rather interesting in this very area that we're talking about. Tell us about that, Michael.
For sure, absolutely. Before I do, is this better this way or this way? I guess
This
it's that
way.
way, huh?
Because
That's
otherwise
fine.
we're looking at you sideways.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that's better. All right. So first time using the system. Yeah, absolutely. Let me just adjust that there.
Real quick, did I see you out at the Oviedo Mall the other day?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I was auditioning for Penguin Point, and I
very cool.
thought it was you that I went. I didn't know. Anyways, go ahead.
I heard you landed the role, didn't you? Or the
Apparently
role,
so. Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
What role?
That's awesome.
I'm playing Yehuda in what am I playing Yehuda in Hysteria. And Hysteria, a show called Hysteria. He's Freud's doctor, and I'm playing all I know for sure, I'm playing actor 1 in Christmas Carol, which basically means that I believe I'm playing Ebenezer Scrooge, which is huge for me.
Oh, nice.
It really is.
Good for you.
Huh?
I'm playing Bob Cratchit coming up, or understudying Bob Cratchit myself.
Oh, jeez.
Out at Penguin?
But no, for me, it's going to be the thing.
That's great. This is at Penguin Point. So.
Okay, very cool.
Anyways, but that'll be another ghost story entirely when we get to that point. We'll be talking about that, I'm sure. Go ahead.
One of those things I want to come back, Christmas ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's in Christmas carols. There will be scary ghost stories and tales of the glorious ghost stories.
There you go.
Christmas.
You bet.
I love it.
So talk to us.
So yeah, I'm actually working part-time just across from Penguin Point there at the Mad Science Laboratory. So I'm one of their educators and performers that goes out and does the science birthday parties and goes into the different classrooms and does workshops with the kids and different classes. So it's a lot of fun. Science was my favorite subject in school. So yeah, I'm having a good time working with Mad Science there too. But yeah, as Joe said, I'm also doing a tour called the Longwood Haunted History Tour, which is in Longwood, Florida. It's just in and around that Apopka area, a little bit further out there. And just above Winter Spring, just before you hit Winter Springs, and just above Winter Park as well. So it's right in that sort of dead area before you get to all civilization once again. But yeah, so there's a house there called the Bradley McIntyre House that the tour takes place in, and we're doing about a 90-minute tour. And I started doing this last year, and we have about 8 guests that walk through the house each and every tour. So we keep it very limited, very exclusive. And you know, as a magician, I've always been interested yet skeptical of anything paranormal or supernatural, but it's always held of great fascination and interest for me. So I've always studied things like ghosts and the paranormal and psychics and the occult and witchcraft and all this fun stuff, much to the dismay of my parents. So my thought process was, you know what, if I'm really going to make this magic stuff seem real, I should probably know what I'm talking about. So I did my research, which I think helps in a lot of different ways. It helps you to put you in tune with a lot of the past of things like magic and religion and why people performed magic back in the day and how it aided all of civilization in a lot of different ways. It helped them to grow and educate one another. But
getting back to because I see Scott up there in the corner and he's going,
Yeah.
He does. There's no doubt about it. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, it's awesome. So we started this tour last year, and the Bradley McIntyre house. So I went into the house thinking, oh, you know, this is it's just a house like any other house, and I'm going to go in and, you know, do a little bit of history and be partly actor and partly magician, do some magic tricks along the way, and entertain the folks for the Halloween season, which is exactly what my intention was. And I went into the house, and the first strange thing that happened was I was supposed to shoot video. The first day I was in the house, couldn't take any video. It just didn't work. Phone stayed on, took about 130 photographs, but for whatever reason, the video function just would not work. So I thought that was pretty strange, and I didn't pay it much attention. Although on that first tour of the house, there is a particular room that I went in, and I know a lot of people have this strange feeling in certain areas where you walk into a room and you just kind of go, oh, this room feels a little heavier. This room doesn't feel right. You have this sort of anxiousness in that room, and it turns out that the room that I immediately felt this in was one of the rooms that somebody had died in the house due to illness.
Wow.
So, and whose funeral was also held in the house downstairs in the salon area. So before I even knew about it, I was already getting that feeling, and I went, wow, so maybe there's something to this. And last year, it turned out on the first night of the tour, we had one of the guests shoot photos in succession in almost every room. I think they took close to 300 photographs. But in one particular room, oddly enough, the next room over from the room that I felt a little jittery in and uneasy, they caught some spirit orbs, so little glowing balls of light, which appeared on, of course, the photos, but didn't appear to us at the time. And we decided that they were spirit orbs only because we made the decision that dust tends to either waft upwards or fall downwards. Although these photographs in succession, you see this little ball of light zipping around in a very decidedly horizontal fashion. And there was two of them that zipped around and went off to destinations unknown. So that was very exciting to catch that on the first night of the tour. So from that point on, I started paying closer attention to the house.
Sure.
And last year, we had a couple of strange things, but nothing super, nothing that really raised the hairs on the back of my neck. But this year, there has been a new addition to the house. So it turns out that one of the Goodwills in Georgia came across a piece of furniture that was an original piece of furniture to the original owner that built the house. It's I believe it's a dry sink type of piece
That'll
of furniture.
do it.
Yep. So, of course, the Goodwill owner, for whatever reason, did some research and found out that it belonged to Nathaniel Bradley, the architect of the Bradley McIntyre house. And they very kindly donated it back to us, even shipped it and brought it all the way from Georgia here to Florida. And they dedicated it back to the house. And it now sits in the room where we have the spirit orbs very commonly seen and photographed. So since that has happened, a lot of weird stuff has been happening in the house. There's a lot more physical activity and a lot more different weird sensations. A couple of this past weekend, a woman freaked out in the spirit orb room because she was getting sensations of feeling touched and her hair brushed all over. So that was very weird. And, it's funny because we're all on one side of the room and she's on the other side. And all of a sudden she's screaming and, oops, sorry. So that was very exciting. And we have just strange things that tend to happen. We have cabinets that open sometimes on the tour. It'll just start to, cabinet will just start to open randomly, which takes me a little bit out of the flow of the performance, to be honest. But
it's unusual because just a little bit ago, David was telling a story, and something, for no apparent reason, fell off a shelf behind him.
One of the dolls did.
Which in and of itself, creepy dolls, but
yeah. It seems like things are definitely trying to get people's attention now in the house since that new piece of furniture has been brought in. So we've had some light flickers, we've had cabinet doors opening. What else? We've had more people catch spirit orbs on their cameras, and one young woman who went on the tour, we have a mirror. And I always tell people, take a picture of the mirror because sometimes we capture some strange things. Most of the time, we see fingerprints or handprints on the mirror, even though it's clean and it's washed just about every day. So, kind of strange. But she actually caught what appears to be a face kind of leaning in from the side and looking into the mirror. A blurry face, mind you.
Of course.
It's got this definite outline of a head. It appears to be a gentleman. So, just a lot of very sort of strange things. And as you proceed upwards through the different levels of the house, it seems like things get more and more active.
Really?
So,
a lot of times when you bring in a certain piece that has history with that particular that house, or like we had with Titanic and everything, it sort of opens a door. And then you really see things start to progress. It's really cool, but scary, but cool.
Wow. These tours are going on now, Mike. You can actually go to these things.
Yeah. We still have 2 weekends left. So we have this weekend coming up, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We do 2 tours every night at 7 and 9 p.m. So for those who might be interested in watching, a couple of tickets at least are still available for this weekend.
Tell us exactly where this is again and what it is again.
Yeah, it's called the Longwood Haunted History Tour. You'll be able to find it on Facebook, or if you just type in a Google search of Longwood Haunted History Tour, it should pop up. In fact, there's a small bit.ly link, which I don't know how to type it in, but hey, there it is. Oh, it's got a QR code too there. So I'll hold it for a second for anybody who wants to screenshot the screen.
Great. If you
But
want to
this
come
says
back
all
and get
about
that,
the,
folks, you can. But it's the
Yeah.
Longwood Haunted History
History
Tour. Fascinating. And it is on Facebook, you say. Very good. Very
It
good.
is on
This
Facebook,
is
absolutely.
fascinating.
Wow.
Wonderful. Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming in and sharing that with us.
That was cool, Mike.
My
Very
pleasure.
A little
Absolutely.
creepy. I really enjoyed it. And hopefully I will see you soon again at one of the meetings or some such thing with our brother Magi, so to speak.
Magi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, guys.
Have
I'm
a
gonna
great
jet
night,
off, but
buddy.
I'm still going to
Take care.
continue to watch.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Isn't that
Let me do the Ron Schnieder one real quick, folks.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back to our in-studio guests, okay? Here is Mr. Ron Schnieder, I think.
Hello there. Happy Halloween. This is Ron Schnieder giving Joe Zimmer the ghost story he asked for. This is a true story, happened to me back in 1977. Now, as some of you may know, I had dreamt all my life of performing at the Golden Horseshoe Revue in Disneyland. There's the role of the traveling salesman. I loved crooked salesman characters, W.C. Fields and the Music Man, all that stuff. Well, in 1977, I got hired to do a show just like that at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I was going to do a traveling salesman character on the street, and I was in seventh heaven. I had a box of props, and I had a script all ready to go, and I just got the job. My grandmother at this time had just suffered a major stroke, and she was in a retirement home by herself, and it was a miserable situation, but she still could smile, she still could laugh like no one's business, and she was delighted when I popped in one afternoon with my medicine bag and dropped it and went right into my medicine pitch. And she loved it. She just curled up in a ball and laughed her head off, and it made me feel very good. It was the very, very first time I'd ever done the job, ever done that show, and she was my audience. She passed away not long after this. I did the years at Magic Mountain doing the medicine pitch on the street, and then in 1980, I got the job at the Golden Horseshoe Revue doing a medicine pitch on the stage of the Golden Horseshoe. Now, this very first date that I got the job, I took my girlfriend with me. I had her sit in the audience, and I gave her my Super 8mm movie camera with a little wind-up thing like that. And I said, I want you to sit down here in the front row, and I want you to capture some footage. I want to see what my first show looks like. I did that. Now, my girlfriend at the time was my dear Kim Hancock. And Kim had many wonderful qualities and wonderful talents, and she couldn't take a decent picture to save her life. If you were going to be in a picture she took, you were going to look like this, because she could not get the concept of looking through the viewfinder and framing things properly. So I knew it wasn't going to come out at all good. But I did the show. The show came out really nicely. I thought everybody was very complimentary. And we took the film and we dropped it off at Adries in Los Angeles. That's where you got film processed back then. And we went back a couple of weeks later, picked it up, and went home and looked at it, and it was amazing. She had captured everything I'd done on that stage. She practically anticipated when I was going to walk out on stage, and she was focused on me, laser focused on me through the whole thing. And I asked Kim, I said, you can't take a decent picture. We know this. How did you do that? She said, well, I wasn't going to tell you, but your grandmother was next to me the whole time telling me exactly what and when to shoot. I never
that's
been
so
able
sweet.
to get a better explanation from her than that. And the film turned out to be a miracle. And as much as I love Kim, I can't believe that she was capable of doing that without some kind of assistance. Somebody who really cared about capturing that moment. I think it may have been my grandmother. Have a happy Halloween. And
Oh, that's so
don't forget to
sweet.
tune into the Joe Zimmer Show every Thursday night. Or every other Thursday night. Whenever he decides to do the thing.
I love that man. I love that man so much.
That was delightful. I mean, it really was. That was fun. Ron, we could do 2 hours with Ron. We already have done an hour. Okay, since he told a heartwarming grandma story, let me tell you my story. I've always been fascinated with being a magician, as well as an actor, and all these great things I can do. I guess I've always been fascinated with the paranormal, but highly skeptical. Okay, and up in New York, a couple of times I was called in to be Dr. Zimmer for Lilydale. Lilydale is a psychic community in New York State, in Chautauqua, County, I believe. Anyways, all kinds of psychics there, and we were brought in to debunk them. I saw things that I couldn't really explain, but I also know what cold reading is. I mean, I could sit here and I could probably sit down with people. No, I know I can, and tell them things that they didn't even realize they told me. Okay, but here's mine. My mom passed away. My mom passed away, and I was still living in her house at that time with my dad and my one brother. And I remember when I was a kid, and I remember distinctly, it's a very distinct memory I have of my of when I was a kid. And I remember when they went out at night, when they went out for a night out, which they did frequently because they did a lot of entertaining customers and that sort of thing for my dad's business, and schmoozing and all that sort of stuff. And I remember distinctly that when I walked through the front hall of our house, would go upstairs, smell her perfume. And it was a very good thing. You smell that perfume and you were safe. You know what I'm saying? Well, just after she died, not long after she died, and I couldn't tell you exactly when. I'm not good at dates and that sort of thing, or I couldn't even tell you what day she died. I couldn't tell you what date it was. I don't, not an anniversary I'm interested in. But I was walking to go upstairs, and all of her stuff had been gone by this point. At least the downstairs closets and all of that. There was nothing around that this shouldn't have happened. And damned if I didn't smell that perfume right there in that hallway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I could close my eyes and I could see my mom with her. Yeah, this was a long time ago, with her fur stole on and they're getting ready to go out,
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, that was the most wonderful feeling I've ever had in my entire life. Since the absolute best part of me passed away, Christopher Height, in this house, not in here. This is my studio, but in the house. He didn't pass away at home, but one night, and actually recently, the lights in the kitchen kept going on and off, and it didn't make any sense, but they did. But I was talking about him with someone, and stop it, But the most fascinating one was I was talking to a friend of mine in Japan on Facebook Messenger. And she said there was a house down the street from her on sale. And I love Japan, for sale. And I love Japan. It's a beautiful place. I couldn't live there in real life. I really couldn't. But because they would drive me crazy. But I said, oh my God, wouldn't that be wonderful to be able to have that house? She goes, it's a real bargain. I said, yeah, like I got the money for it. And I said the words, come on, Lotto. Typed them. And I actually said them out loud. There's a photograph of Carol Channing. We had brought in here. A photograph of front cover of Life magazine with Carol Channing hugging the cash register. It's the moment in the show where she says, my husband said, money is like manure. You got to spread it around or it's not worth anything. Chris and I had obtained that. We also obtained her autograph on it out at Epcot when she was performing there. We sent it back. And it was the whole magazine, and she took forever for it to come back. And she said, "You have to forgive us, but Carol was reading." And she signed it. And the moment I said that, boom, boom, that damn thing fell off the wall. Just that fell off the wall. Should have broken, should have, didn't. How the hell it fell off the wall is beyond my comprehension. I think actually David was over. I had David over to have a drink, and light shot through the room a couple of times while David was there. Am I right?
Oh, so, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Shit happens around here all the time. Right? There you go.
Yeah.
So I've given my story, but I wanted to get that out there.
Can I tell you my story about my grandmother?
Please do.
Yes.
I've got a grandfather one after that if we want to.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. So my grandmother, who I loved and adored, and she was just like the heart of my heart. I loved her to death. Strong personality, and she took no shit from anyone. But anyway, she was 96. All right. She took a fall, and she fell hard, and she ended up in the hospital. And long story short, she wasn't doing well, and they said, she would probably recover, but it would be hard. And I couldn't get out to California to go see her. So, but my family was keeping me in touch with what was going on and what was happening. Well, I was doing laundry. This is gonna be hard. I was doing laundry, and yeah, and I was putzing around the house, doing my daily chores and the glamorous life. And I walked into the living room, and my grandmother was standing right there, as if it was meant to be. And I just looked at her and I said, "Grandma, what are you doing here?" And then all of a sudden it struck me, and I understood. She had just died. And I fell to my knees. And my husband, Scott, he comes running over and he's like, "What is wrong, David? What's wrong?" And I said, "Grandma just died." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "She was just here." And in 10 seconds time, my phone started ringing. And I picked it up, and it was my brother, Tracy. And he said, "Grandma just died." And I said, "I know, she was just here." And I'll never forget it, because I knew she was saying goodbye. And that was one of the hardest things I'd ever seen in my life. So hard. But yeah, I was so glad to know that she came over to see me all the way in Florida.
They do that. They do that. Yeah. Interestingly enough, when just before I was getting ready to unload a mattress from the car that I had purchased for a hospital bed that I purchased to put into the spare room, and I felt it. And then a moment later, the phone rang, and when I answered the phone, there was a lot of confusion on the other end. I went, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" I knew that Chris had gone. I knew. He didn't come to me then, but he came to me later. The little bugger. Your Tracy Tabin says, "Oofda," one of her favorite sayings.
Tracy is Norwegian.
Yeah.
Tracy's Norwegian.
We're half Norwegian and French and Filipino. Yeah.
Yeah. Oofda is very Norwegian.
Scott. Yeah. How about you? What do you got?
Well, you said you had one.
So yeah, my grandfather passed away when I was 9 years old on my family property. He was feeding horses. We lived on 5 acres in west of West Palm area. And he died when I was 9. And I was always bothered that I wasn't there when he passed. Like, we had just drove up when the ambulance was leaving. So we followed the ambulance to the hospital, but we just weren't there. Or I wasn't there when he passed. Well, years and years and years later, nothing had ever happened in the house. Like I said, Christian family, they don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. I'm home. I was starting to come out, and I'm laying in my brother's room, but we were like right next to each other. No real separation between the rooms other than a door, like a sliding door. And I'm laying in the bed because my room had been turned into an office or something. I'm laying in the bed, and I had just put my phone down, and I heard very clearly, as if somebody was at the door, just a... And I just went thinking absolutely it was my parents. Nothing happened. And all of a sudden, my heart, I knew what was going on, and I knew who was there. And I just went, I love you, Grandpa, and I miss you so much. And as soon as I said that, the floorboard squeaked, and I felt like it was gone. And so, I eventually went to bed. Ghosts don't scare me. They're just there. It's so natural. It's almost like part of life.
I'm listening.
Yeah. And wow. And the next morning I wake up and I realized that I had thought the floorboards squeaked outside the room. That wasn't where they squeaked from. They squeaked from right inside the room by the door. And it was just this beautiful moment of knowing that he was there. That I just
that's so nice.
Because it was beautiful. I mean, it was so many years later, and like I said, never anything. And then this one was just so obvious that he was just coming to say, "Hey, I love you and I miss you."
Yeah.
That's delightful. That is delightful. Yeah. Jack.
Oh, well, I have a whole bunch of them. Okay, do you want scary? Do you want weird? What do you want?
You choose, darling. You choose.
This is kind of weird. Okay. When we did our Titanic show, I was going to tell the Titanic story, and I never got a chance to because all sorts of things were going on. And we had so many different people telling stories. And this is I actually have two, but this one. And Joe knows what it is because he was there. And even Mr. Skeptic. We did the ghost tour, and sometimes things happen. Sometimes Joe made things happen. Moving on.
Understand, it was not physical manifestation.
No, never. No.
Okay.
Verbally and psychologically,
yeah,
I freaked these people out.
But I will say what Michael was talking about did happen a lot. I mean, we had pictures of orbs and things, but there were a lot of times and it all depended on that. There were some nights like nothing happened. And then Joe would really have to work hard. But then there were nights when people would take all these pictures and there would be orbs all over. And it wasn't dust because, again, you could see the progression of them in the pictures. But there was this one night that we had a friend who was also in the show. Well, her dad was in the show. And she had her own spiritual group or whatever, and ghost hunting group or whatever. And she brought one of those recorders in. And you know how they're set up. I know exactly what they call them, but they're set up. They won't stop on a station. They just keep on running through.
Yeah.
And supposedly the energy from our friends, because I did find out they don't like to be called ghosts. At least our Titanic friends preferred that. And they will use it to say words. Joe and I were sitting on the staircase.
Oh shit. Yeah.
He knows it. He knows I'm growing because it meant a lot to me. Okay. When I first started there as Molly Brown, we had just gotten some artifacts from a gentleman called William Stead, who was a news writer at the time and a writer and passed away. And I didn't know that we had them. So I take off for my first show, and this is at the Mercado. And I see this man standing there, and he has a white shirt, red bow tie, black pants, long white hair, and he smiles at me, nods, and I go, "Hi there, I'm running late," and off I go in to do my thing. Well, the upshot of it was that he was Bill Stead, and actually quite a few guests saw him over the period of time. Then we moved from Mercado, and people didn't see him anymore. And I really hadn't seen him in a really long time, and I was really bummed out about it. So we're sitting on the stair, and a voice starts coming out of the radio, and it's saying, "Jack."
This is
Jack.
a fact.
And we're going, "Jack who? What? Jack Thayer?" Somebody was on it. Jack. We're trying to figure it all out, and we're making jokes, going, "Oh yeah, there really wasn't a Jack on Titanic, no Leo." And then all of a sudden, Joe said, "Wait a minute, do you mean Jack who's here?" And the voice, it was a man's voice, said, "Yes, Jack." And I'm like, who the heck is what? And then all of a sudden it hit me. And I went, oh my God, Mr. Stead, is that you? You've come back. And clear as a bell, he said, I never have left you.
Oh.
And we all just, I lost,
Oh.
he was there. I lost it. I lost it completely because I knew he had never really left me. And
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, it was really nice. It was like the steadying presence, that was there all the time.
I don't mind telling you, I am, now I'm going to be honest. I mean, I am the eternal skeptic. I'm also the one who's going to screw around when I have the opportunity to do so.
Yes.
If I can scare you, I'm going to do it. I scared the crap out of the people who were doing the hearse tour in St. Augustine. Chris and I went on in a hearse. It was awful.
Yeah.
We went to the lighthouse. I scared the living bejesus out of these people. They didn't know how to shit or wind them watch just by saying, wait a minute. They were buying me hook, line, and sinker. This is what I was doing, this ghost story. So, but I will tell you now, what she just said, wow, that was pretty awesome.
It really
that
was.
The same night that someone or something, I don't know what,
it was Catherine,
sat down next to me and kind of put their head on my shoulder and hugged me.
Oh.
I swear to God, I felt that.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to feel that. Well, yes, I do actually, from one person, but that's neither here nor there.
And the funny thing about it when that happened is because he said Catherine's never come near me, and there was a little girl running around. We kind of looked her up. I don't know if it was a little girl or what. We really don't know, but we did find that factually this little girl had been on Titanic. In any case, she was very famous with all the Titanic, all of us. And he said, well, she's never talked to me or anything like that. And she did. And he said he could feel it. I put my hand out after, and his whole side was ice cold.
It was the freakiest thing that's ever happened.
And he was not he was not sitting on the staircase under the air conditioner.
It was insane.
Yeah, but it was so cool.
Yeah, in all honesty, some freaky shit happened at Titanic.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been a delight, and we could probably go on for a lot longer. But it's 9:03, and
really,
yeah, believe it or not, and it's
this went by fast.
We got some great stories, and we could do this out. I would like to bring you guys back again and do this again.
I've got 100, so yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
David, you too?
And bring my brother out. He's got some too.
Yeah.
Well, then let's do that too, Tracy. If you're still watching, guess what? David just volunteered you, buddy.
Yeah. But before we go, hey, Joe, can we take 2 seconds?
Yes.
I really want David to tell just a snippet, David, of the story you told before we came on the air about what's been happening in your house.
Okay. All right. So
if that's okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Before we started the show, I was telling Jack and Joe, how funny. Anyways, I was telling them.
Great name for a production company. J&J Productions. Go ahead.
There you go. About how weird things happen in our house, and we hear creaks. We hear things move. Yes, this house that I'm in right now, and in this room particularly, every once in a while, I will, things have fallen. Not while I was here until tonight that I actually saw. I've, come in and there'll be things on the floor. I bought a Ring camera. And with this Ring camera, I set it up and I put it on and I waited and I waited and I waited. And all of a sudden, finally, one thing said, oh, you got movement in your room. And I got all excited. I was like, ooh. So I go in there and sure enough, my chair is turning all the way around, all on its own. Yeah, things like that. And then next thing you know, my camera isn't working. And I call them up and they said, oh, it's on your side. And I could never get it to work again. But yeah, so that happens. We get these knocks in our bed, or not in our bedroom, but we get these knocks in our living room late at night. It's always 3 knocks. I'll be sitting watching TV and it's always on the ceiling. So, and it goes knock, knock, knock. And I just look up and it's like, well, hello and good evening to you. I have no idea why. We've heard, we've been in our room with our piano and we have 4 cats. We have 4 cats. Now, they're pretty skittish. every once in a while, I'll see Mindy, who is my black cat. She'll be looking over there, and it's like she's following something because her head does this, and she'll be watching. And then she'll look, and then she'll walk back away from me, or back away from and over to me. And I'm like, okay, Mindy, what did you see? You know, and she just kind of looks over there, and something's in there too. So, yeah, every once in a while, something happens.
Animals are very sensitive to this stuff, apparently.
Yes.
And I'll tell you something.
Especially cats.
Just after,
Ooh, good
just after Chris passed, I had a big map of Disneyland on the wall. This thing is heavy. I mounted it up in the bedroom. I mounted it up there, and I know I mounted it up there very well. And anyways, we're in bed, the dog and I, and he's laying next to me. And that son of a bitch, that thing fell. Scared Webster jumped about 4 feet, scared me. But here's the interesting thing. That dog walked over to where that was, and he looked again, and he looked around, did not bark one time, turned around, came back up and laid next to me.
Chris.
There's only one person who would elicit that response from him. Only
Chris.
one. And that's a fact.
Yeah,
so,
Chris.
There it is. Anything else, Scott? You got a parting shot for us?
No.
I love you, Browning. I so love you.
Next time we do this, just let me know, and I won't do it from my house because there's certain things I can't say here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, David, real quick.
Yes.
My friend Billy Joe just asked, have you researched your house?
You know, I have tried, and my neighbor across the street, she says that she had found out that there was an Indian burial ground around here, perhaps.
Wow.
Yes, and we also have 3 bodies of water, which also is known to, attract spirits and such.
Yep.
What area?
So that's all we know about the house
Just
itself.
very important to
And
know,
it was
David.
built by-
The movie Poltergeist was about being on Indian burial ground. I'm just saying.
Yes,
I'm just saying.
but they didn't. They were terrible people in that movie.
Yes.
And David, and Scott, David, they're not terrible.
Oh,
The
thank
family
you.
wasn't a terrible family. The family in the movie in Poltergeist.
The developers are terrible, not the family.
The
The
developers were terrible, but,
Yes.
but the people who were living there that was just
A
They
movie.
just got the residual effect. And it's a movie. Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you something. That movie scared the crap out of me. I don't know.
Did it?
Yeah. But anyways,
Yeah.
this has been a delight, and I so enjoy doing these. And
Yes. Thank you.
we are back again, and I'm excited about that. The next show coming up, I don't know what it's going to be yet. It may very well be 3 guys from the Magic Shop who used to work the Magic Shop. Yeah, that long ago at the Magic Kingdom.
I love that shop.
Oh, gosh.
Love that shop. That was the first place I went to when I went to the Main Street right there.
Oh, yeah.
I can still remember there was this smoke that you used to put between your fingers and do
They
that.
still
and
sell
made
that
like this-
stuff, yeah.
That smell, I can still smell in my brain.
Yeah, it was
I love that.
tarry, greasy thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So those guys, I'm hoping those guys are going to be with me in a week or so, or with us, I should say, with Jack. We still got a million more stories, but time is of the and we did get and I know we're going to get a lot of hits after the fact. Tracy Tabin, if you're still there, you said I'm gonna put this up here real quick. When we said bring Tracy on, he said this, just so everybody knows. So you're stuck, Tracy. You're in, and I said you're on in the comments. So
this will be cool.
Scott, we're going to have you back. We're going to do another ghost show. We're going to do another one in the not too distant future, I think, because this has been just delightful.
Yeah.
And we'll plug it a little more and see if we get some more wonderful stories. The creepy stuff, though. The Randy thing was just, whoa, that was wild.
But it was very Randy.
Yes, it was. If you don't
Very
know who it is,
Randy.
watch the show on my YouTube channel, folks.
The Randy Senna.
Guys,
Oh,
watch
great
the
show.
Randy Senna. Watch the Randy Senna episode Randy is a fascinating man who
Yes,
lives,
he
in,
is.
oddly
Yeah.
enough, who is on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but I didn't notice until tonight. Ron Schneider had a hat on that was from
Wildwood.
New Jersey.
I noticed it tonight.
Mhm.
I was like,
so-
oh man, it's working.
Coincidence?
Craziness.
I don't know. There you go. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank
I love
you.
both of
You
you. I
guys.
really do.
Love you both.
Thank you for having me.
Take care,
All right,
kids.
now-
My pleasure. Thanks for
All
being
right.
here.
All right.
Oh, wow. That was
I know.
fun.
I love those guys. I love those
Yeah,
guys so much.
two wonderful individuals. Truly,
Mhm.
truly wonderful individuals.
You know that all of the stories were. It's really funny, but all of the stories had heart. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, George. Hey, George, Mark.
Who is this? George, is Mark here?
Yeah. He said thanks to you and me.
Oh,
you
that's-
and I. I should be
Sure.
correct.
Now you say something, George.
Yeah, really, George Mark.
Now you talk. Yeah, sure. By the
Now,
way,
you know, he's had a birthday and everything. You know, hey.
I have to say this. I got my T-shirt, Mark, and I cannot tell you how thrilled I got a T-shirt from Guantanamo Bay, Jack.
Oh my God! Oh, that's right, because that's where George Mark was.
Yes.
We got to have him on. And
He was
talk
on
about that.
vacation. He probably can't.
Yeah, right.
He was on vacation there. That's where he was.
Yes, he was on vacation.
It was pretty cool, and so he sent me he sent me a T-shirt for my birthday, which was very nice. And I thought he was kidding when he said, "What do you want for your? I want a T-shirt for your birthday." I said, "Yes, oh my God, yes," and I got one. So that was great. So there is a good possibility we're going to have those guys.
Yeah, I'd love that. There's just so many stories.
I kind of think we should have Mr. LaRocca back on again, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And we should really talk to him in depth so we can put him both on our YouTube channel and his YouTube channel.
Yeah, Michael, that discussion we had the other night was just absolutely amazing.
Should we hint at what we're doing, Jack? Should we give a hint?
Well, it's going to happen. No, even if it's going to happen somewhere. So
yeah. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, J&J Productions is something very new, and this is the very first time I'm even mentioning J&J Productions anywhere. What it stands for, you'll just have to figure that shit out, won't you?
Yeah.
But J&J Productions is putting together something very special, and in hopes of bringing it to the Orlando Fringe. That, of course, all remains to be seen with the lottery, which is, I guess, in December now.
Yeah, I think they had to move it,
which is fine.
Regardless, we will. We've talked to people, and we will have this happen somewhere.
This show will come to fruition. What's the show? Should we tell them what the show is right now, or do you want to wait?
Let's wait.
Okay, we're going to wait. But suffice to say, what would be a very subtle, slight hint?
It's real stories from the heart.
Indeed. And I'll tell you what, if you ever saw Chorus Line, it's being written even as we speak from personal experiences of people, and very much in the same way. George is going back to Guantanamo.
No, George.
Yes. And it's being written. He says, tell us. No, we're not going to. But it's being written in very much the same way Chorus Line is.
Yes.
And
sans music.
Sans music. There'll be no music. Thank you, Jesus. There'll be no music. And we're really excited about it, folks.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to love it. And I believe I've actually talked to the two guests in the show tonight about possibly
being involved
to this. Yes. So that's what I got for you right now. You're going to just have to wait till a little bit in November, I think we decided, right?
Yep, we decided a little like mid-November kind of thing.
Mid-November, we will make the actual announcement of what we're up to. Unless, of course, it all blows up in advance, because right now what we're getting already is crazy good stuff.
Yeah, really
Thanks,
is.
Jack. I adore you.
Back at you.
Do. As always, you be good. I'll see you soon. Take care of yourself, okay?
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Night-night.
Okay, kids, one more time. That's the end of the show. I love you. And we will make the announcement about the show that we're actually producing live and all that sort of stuff. Right now, I'm going to say, as always, when you get out there, look for the helpers, because you know what? They're out there, every one of them. And what are they doing? They're helping. And you'll know who they are when you see them, and you'll know that you can join them. Take care of yourselves. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.